Welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and today I have a very special VIP guest all the way from California. I'm super excited to interview him. His name is Deneille Thompson. He is a singer, performer, and aspiring filmmaker. And let's get right into it and give him a super duper warm welcome. Hey, Deneille, how are you? So good to see
Hey,
you.
hey, how are you, love? Good to see you.
I'm so happy. I've been excited and thrilled to have you on my show this week. Looking forward to it. And you're a super nice guy. And let's get right into it, Danielle. I want to share a little bit about you, and then I'm going
Sure.
to start asking some questions, okay? All right. So, Danielle, you are a jazz and blues singer. You're from California. And also, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Right, Danielle?
Yes, yes. Hey, happy Turkey Day, people.
Happy Thanksgiving. And you're a singer and performer, and you have lived in Las Vegas for a time. But you have an incredible story, and we're going to talk about a couple films that you were in as well. But let me ask you, can you share a little bit of your story, where you were born, where you were raised? And I know your mom was a gospel singer, so that
Yeah.
may have something to do with your story, but
Oh,
take it away.
that's it. Actually, I'm I was born in Illinois, born in Evanston, but my dad was in the Navy, and he got transferred from Illinois to Newport, Rhode Island. So I grew up in Newport, Rhode Island, and that's where I got my taste in music. And yes, my mom, she was God rest her soul, she was a gospel singer, and I'm one of 11. I had six sisters and four brothers. And when we joined the church that my mother was the director at for 42 years in that church, we didn't have a choice. I mean, we had a choice whether we do it or not, but the consequences were somewhat strange. My mother would always say, "God gave you 7 days, so you're going to give him one." So Sunday we were in church. When we went to church from 9 in the morning. Sometimes we got home at 6 in the evening. 'Cause Sunday was an all day thing, especially in the black church. There's always something going on. And so, yes, I was in the gospel choir under the tutelage of my mom. There were, out of 11 of us in the family, nine of us were in the choir, so you got it, and you got it when you got it good there, from the roots, from knowing how to sing and articulate and know your material. My mother was a stickler for knowing your material. If you didn't come to church, come to rehearsal on Thursday night, don't go bother putting your robe on for choir because you're not going to sing. So yeah, so it was strict discipline, and my mom didn't play, so we got it good.
That's wonderful. And such an incredible figure in your family, strong, powerful, discipline about music. Your mom, this is where you get a lot of your wonderful qualities, Danielle, and how you can be a performer. I love our moms. Aren't they great? They're wonderful.
You only get one, so you got to remember that.
Yeah, yeah. That's so, so true. You have been, let's see, before we talk about your films, I want to share with everybody where you have performed. You mentioned you performed in Paris, um, and you also, let's see, you performed at the Felix Barbecue in America, Felix Barbecue in San Diego, and you transformed it into a New Orleans jazz club because you have your own unique style and singing presence. You also performed at the Chico Club on El Cajon Boulevard in La Mesa. You've performed at Humphreys by the Bay in San Diego, singing God Bless the Child, Fly Me to the Moon, What's Going On. Those are some great songs. You sing Ray Charles, Lou Rawls, George Benson, Stevie Wonder. You performed when you were in Vegas at the Maxan Jazz Club in Las Vegas, Nevada. You also have performed at the Italian American Club in Las Vegas. Oh, I love that place in 2022. You said you're from Rhode Island and Boston. You've performed in Rhode Island, Boston, Los Angeles, Paris, and performed at the Just Cool Caribbean Hideaway in Noosa International. Really, you've you've also performed in Australia at the Crown Casino and Dizzy's Jazz Club in Melbourne. You sing gospel, jazzy blues, songs like Mona Lisa, Lady and the Tramp, and Misty, Unforgettable, Marvin Gaye, all of the good stuff. And you opened for Sly and the Family Stone in 1971 in Rhode Island. For 16 weeks, you were touring with them. How was that, and how did you get that gig?
Oh my goodness. At that time, there was an agent by the name of Robert Chappelle. He's a pretty well-to-do guy, and he knew his music business. And it started out, it was just supposed to be for 8 weeks. It wasn't supposed to be for 16 weeks. And what happened, the history of Sly. I hate to talk about the deceased and gone, but Sly had a reputation, and some of it wasn't only for his music greatness, some of it was for his antics and his behavior on stage, dealing with his social lifestyle, so to say. And sometimes, as you notice, Sly would get very, very, very comfortable playing one song for 45 minutes and then taking a break. And what had happened was the producer who put us with Sly was getting some negative feedback. So they asked us, as my band, if we would open for Sly, if we would continue on with Sly. So I said, why not? But before I said, why not, I had already put my foot in my mouth by saying yes. But that cost me dearly some time in the U.S. military, because what had happened, I had a 2S deferment. I would have never been drafted if I had stayed in school. And because I was gone for 16 weeks instead of 8 weeks, I lost my deferment. So when I got back to school, they said, well, Mr. Thompson, we've got a letter for you. And it was from the draft board. They had changed my classification from 316 to 32. So right away, here we go. So, but I don't regret my time in the military, but I wish I had stayed where I was. But it was a great experience. I enjoyed the time. I enjoyed meeting some of the best musicians on the planet. I'll never forget the opportunity to work with Larry Graham, one of the most fabulous bass players there are. And so it was, there are gives and takes in the situation, so it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it sounds like an incredible experience. And like you said, there's always, when you take an opportunity like that, there's always a little bit of risk, if you
Yeah,
will, or
sure.
sometimes challenges that come up, right? So you have to handle them, and you did the best you
You got
did
to
great.
roll with the punches.
Right on. You also performed on the Mike Douglas show. Did your agent get you that too?
Well, I'll tell you who got. There was a lady by the name of Saucy Sylvia, a radio personality all over the East Coast, but she was also from Newport. As a matter of fact, her son was my drummer for a while. So she had come to me. She said, "Neil, you have been all over the East Coast. I love you dearly. You've done everything that we could ask for you here. Don't you think it's time that you went out to California?" So I just said, I'll go whenever there's an offer. So she set that up for me, and I went out there, and that was one of the first things I did when I got to California for the first time. I was living in Santa Monica, and I got the call that Anthony Rambos, who was Mike Douglas's PR person, called me and said, "We'd like to have you come down." So I went down, and the rest is history. They got me to do a show, and it went over well, and things just started happening after that. So
Oh, definitely, because you got airtime on Mike Douglas. He was huge, wasn't he?
yeah, he was.
And so after that, you got more gigs, obviously, right?
I did. I was working with a guy by the name of Carlos Noble. Carlos was a voice coach. He was a voice coach for Ella Fitzgerald and a lot of the other people at that time. And it was a funny story because you mentioned some of the tunes that I sing. I can say that I'm really not a jazz singer, but I do sing jazz. There is a difference. I have sung just about everything, and coming out of the gospel choir, there is so much that's similar with the emotions and the feelings in gospel and jazz and in blues. So it's a mixage of what it is that makes that music. and makes me do what it is that that I do. I try to tell people, yes, I'm a singer, but I'm more of a song. It's the message in the music that I'm trying to get out there to people, and I'm just still surprised and thankful that people still enjoy what it is that I do. So as long as they do, I'm going to keep on doing it.
Yes, you have been described as a very smooth and you have a very sultry voice, and people love it. The audience loves it. So I want to ask you, for all the venues out there that want to hire you, how can they get in contact with you, Deneille?
Well, I'm going to leave you all the pertinent information that you can have to pass out. And if anybody does want to see me, they can reach me on SoundCloud, or they can reach me by going to my email. I'll give you that. My webpage has been down for a while. There was so much stuff in French there that we had to do it over, and it's taken a while to get the right translations and the right translator to do it. I speak French, but when it comes to trying to translate from French to English, I want to make it right. So we're taking our time to do that.
Yes, okay. And so they can also contact you. You're on Facebook, right? Facebook, so they can contact you there and send a message. And I did want to touch on the fact that you attended Boston University, and also you performed in Paris at the Le Petit Journal
Montparnasse, yes.
Jazz Club. You were there 28 years in France. Tell us about that. What took you to
Oh,
France?
my goodness. I was I used to like to run a lot, and I ran every day from my house in Santa Monica down the Santa Monica beach walk and into Huntington Beach, into just run. So I used to do that. And you hear a lot of people say a lot of things to a lot of performers all the time. And I was just finishing up my run, and they were setting up some type of an event on the beach. And of course, as curious as I am, I went over to see what was going on, and I ran into the same guy who set up my stage the week before at Humphreys was setting up the stage for this event. And he said, "Oh, no, there are some people here from France. They're getting ready to do something from NRG Radio." So I said, "Oh, okay, sure." So he introduced me to this one guy, and that led to the story about what I was doing. And during his commercial break for that show that they were doing on the beach, they played some of my music. And so he asked me, you ever thought about coming to France? And I said, well, I've thought about it. I've thought about going to a lot of other places too. So he said, okay, he gave me his card, and he said he'd be in touch. Like I said, you hear these things. I'll be in touch. I'll call you. Well, you take it with a grain of salt. You just don't take it to the bank just yet. But he did come through. It was about a year or so later. I had forgotten completely about him, and I found out quickly one day. My mother, I go in the house. My mom says, "Will you please tell these people that I do not speak French?" I said, "Excuse me, Mom. What are you talking about?" Some guy called here and he didn't know how to speak English very well, and I didn't speak any French, and he just said to give Monsieur Deneille his phone number. So my mother gave me that, and so I called him back, and it took about a month before we got together finally. He invited me over, so I went over to do. It's called L'Enfance de Partage, to share with the children, which is like the Jerry Lewis Telethon. And they do that every year, and I was invited to do that, so I said sure. So they paid for my flight, they brought me over, took care of me. So it was interesting to do that, and one thing led to another. And after the telethon, we hung out with a bunch of musicians from France, and some of them were from Belgium as well. But we hung out with the musicians, and musicians, they walk into a club and they see somebody else playing, they're gonna somehow, some way get up on that stage. And so the piano player was known very well in France. So they asked Guy to come up. So he went up, and he said, "Can I ask my friend from America to come up?" And so that's how that started. And one thing, next thing you know, 8 weeks turned into 3 years, and 3 years turned into 10 years, and 10 years turned into. So yeah, it was fun. I got to see all of Europe, so which was great. I love the Eastern Bloc. Poland. We went to Hungary. We went everywhere. So even spent some time in Moscow. So it was interesting. It was, and I'm glad I got to do that. I can say that over the time of my life, I have seen a bit of this world.
Amazing, amazing story. And I love that you lived in Paris for 20, I'm sorry, it's 30, 28 years.
33 is total.
33.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So incredible. And so that in itself, I mean, you've lived in Europe. So you have that kind of European experience. It's wonderful. Really, you can really that stays within you always, doesn't it, Daniil?
It does. It does. Sometimes I catch myself bouncing from French to English, from English to French, and I do get a chance to meet some French people here, and so it's great. It's something they can't take away from me. It's up here now. They can't take it back.
Oui, monsieur. That's all I know. I just had to say that. But you're amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that, Daniil. You're an
Oh, you're welcome.
inspiration to us. I want to switch over now to talk about films. You were in two films. One is on the screen right now, Burning Hearts, 1996. And you played in this film. I want to ask you the role that you played. The film was, go ahead.
I was Santa Claus in that film. I played Santa Claus.
You played Santa Claus. That
I sure
is
did.
incredible.
Right.
And so tell us about, okay, first off, I want to let everyone to know that Austrian film director Peter Patzak, he was a screenwriter as well. He was an amazing film director. He made over 60 films. And from 1973 to 2021. He was also a painter and an
Oh
author.
my goodness.
And Burning Hearts was about it's got the themes of family, war, revenge, and it follows the life of the famous German politician, writer, and communist activist Gustav Regler from his birth in 1898 in the Saarland through two world wars and his many travels until his death in 1963 in India. And just a side note that while Gustav was in Spain, he befriended Ernest Hemingway, which is just kind of an interesting fact. But tell us about how you got in this film. You played Santa Claus and how you met Peter Patzak.
Well, interesting story with Peter. And I was crushed when I heard of his passing. It was awful for me at that time because I had just written him a few letters about what was he into, and don't forget this face. It was Peter who got me hooked into this. He said Peter used to come to my shows. I was seeing a young lady from Austria at the time, and she worked with Peter's older brother, who was in the tourism industry in Austria. And she introduced me to Peter, and Peter was into jazz. He loved that I sang jazz, and so he used to come to the show. And he said he would always point at me, and he would look at my face, and he said, I've got something, but I'll be in touch. So me like, okay, sure, whatever, fine, where I am. So make a long story short, he did get in touch with me. He called me and asked me if I had some time at this period and would you like to be in one of my films? I got a part just for you. So I said, certainly, Peter, I'd love to do it. And that first film that I did was called 1945, and it is also a military genre picture. And in that film, I played an American GI, of course, and it was pretty interesting for me. But the most interesting thing that we shot that film up in Slovenic, a northern part of Slovakia. And the most interesting thing for me was that when we were all outside gathered around to just ready to shoot again another scene, right across from one of the locations was an all-girls school, and on the other side there was this big chapel, and we were all standing outside to cool off before we got ready to shoot the next scene. and I was not taken aback, but the girls would come up to me and they would touch my face because they didn't know whether this was makeup or whether I was really discolored. It was it was a and Peter got kind of nervous.
Wow.
Yeah, Peter got he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Oh no, I'm fine, I'm fine." No. He said, "You know, they only think that's makeup." And I said, "Well, they'll tell them they can feel away, touch me anyway, so it's real." So that's how that started, and we shot the film, and and another year goes by, and but before we get to that, during the screening of the film, I'm not the big star at all. I'm just an incidental cast member. And when we the debut of the film opened in a theater, and all of course all of the major stars were there. Constantine Zaka, as you can see there in the background, all of the stars were there. We were, all had to be there for Peter, and it was like you would have thought that I was the major star, but everybody kept coming over to me for my autograph. Are you kidding me? So I
That's
did,
great.
yeah, it was fun. And
Yes, and I do want to, if I can interject real quick, just for your viewers and fans, just to let them know that 1945 TV movie, it's a drama, and it's about the challenging fates of displaced persons in the chaotic immediate aftermath of World War II in Europe. And it dramatizes authentic historical events, focusing on difficult experiences of individuals trying to navigate their lives after the war. So these are such impactful and powerful movies. Peter was anti-war, and he wanted to make films about, what happens, and he involved you as well. What did you play? I'm so thrilled that you were part of that, Deneille. What part did you play in 1945?
I was a American GI. I was a soldier. I was one in the village that was a liaison between the mayor of the city and the American GI that are in the town, sort of like a provost marshal. If anything went wrong or if they needed more information, then they had to come to me. So and when there was a discrepancy or a discussion that didn't end quite friendly between some of the people who wanted Americans there and some who didn't, that was also my territory. But it was a wonderful experience. I'll never forget it. And one thing Peter said to me, because I asked him, I said, Peter, I'm not an actor. He said, let me tell you something. First of all, please don't ever say that again. And second of all, he said, the only difference between you, Deneille, and an actor is that an actor has got sometimes 2 to 3 hours in a film to get his or her point across. You, as a singer, you've only got 2 to 3 minutes in a song to get your point across. So that made sense to me. I thought, well, okay, I guess you're right there. Because it is true. I never thought about it that way. But yeah, an actor can got all the time in the world. But when you got a 2 minute or 3 minute song, if you're not getting the message to them, they'll let you know it post haste.
Absolutely. And how nice that he took time, and you have those special memories of him. And tell us about him as a director. Was it fun to work on both of his sets?
Yeah, it was fun, but I got to tell you, Peter is extremely organized. Oh my goodness, and he's got a memory like an elephant. Does not forget anything, not one detail. And I have a greater appreciation now that I'm in film school. And when I started this, I started film school in Vegas. I was going to CSN because Sean Collette was my editing instructor. He is a genius. He's a wonderful guy. He also would come to my shows here at Maxim, but he's taught me a lot, and he was happy to hear that I was sticking with it here in at LA Film School. But now that I learned from Peter, I saw how he was in detail and doing everything. He knows how to do everything, from editing, from producing, from executing, and I had been telling myself, why do I got to learn all of this stuff now? I'm not going to be doing this. Someone else will do this for me. And now my instructor said, yeah, don't count on it. When you make your first film, you will be the cinematographer. You will be the the musical engineer. You have to wear all of those hats. So it made sense to me. And and don't very much like it, but it's part of the course, and so I'm going to stick with it through graduation, and I'm going to work with as many people as I can to learn as much as I can, to do as much as I can to, you know, keep the gray matter up top of my head from drying up.
Yes, I'm so proud of you and excited and super thrilled for you, Danielle, that you're doing this. Now, you have attended some school in Las Vegas, and now you're attending the Los Angeles Film School. And I'm just so happy for you. I think you're going to do absolutely wonderful. And you're going to, have you already started to do, has it been 1 or 2 years? How's it going?
Well, this is my second year, but I did the 1 year at CSN in Vegas, and now here. This is we're in the November semester, and we got, oh my goodness, it's going to be a little while yet. But yeah, I'm learning every day, learning something new, learning things that I didn't know that I could do in the first place. And what's really a challenge, I think I was born in the wrong time with all this technical stuff, all of these computers. I'm really not that computer savvy, but it's made me have to put on that hat to learn everything that I need to learn. Because, like I said, back in the day, we didn't have all of this. I used to love writing letters using a pencil and a pen or a piece of paper, but we don't do that anymore. But learning the digital format and some of the formats that have taken over the music industry, has helped me, and so I'm kind of grateful for that, and I'm interested to see what I can put out there once it's out.
Ab Absolutely. And as a storyteller, I wanted to ask you, what kind of stories are you interested in? I'm always fascinated with social messages and changing the world. And previously, I had a guest on, Kat Kramer, who has changed the world, films, and they're wonderful. So, what messages and stories are on your heart that you want to talk about? Firstly, there's an example. You could do your own story. Your own life is fascinating. But are there any other messages?
Yeah, I like documentaries. I like real people. There are so many stories. You don't have to look far for a story. If you just listen, keep your eyes open, and pay attention to people, you'll see and you'll learn all types of things. There are so many stories out there that should be told that aren't being told, and and I kind of like lean to that type of genre of film. Believe me, there are enough cop shows on TV. There are enough. I'm really not really into this reality TV kind of stuff, but I mean real stories that affect people in a deep and a meaningful way. That's what I like to contrive.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And I just want to incidentally share on screen right now. This is Peter Patzak on the right-hand side in the black and tan leather jacket and the black hat. And this is actually a picture on set, isn't it,
That
Danielle?
is, yes, that's Peter and Constantine Becker.
Amazing, amazing. So that was amazing. And then also just to go back to Burning Hearts, it is a feature film, and you played Santa Claus in this. Can you tell us a little bit about the scene?
Well, the scene was, as you stated earlier, families with discord between the warring factions, and almost like our Civil War. If we go back that far, you had some brothers in the same family on different sides, and with different meaning. Then the family at that time were trying to bury the hatchet, sort of thing, trying to get the family, because after all, after you've destroyed everything else, you've only got your family left to go to. And so it was a Christmas dinner where all the family members were there, and the little children believed in Santa Claus. But more than the little children, the grandma had a great relationship with her first Santa Claus, and her first Santa Claus looked like me. So that's why they brought me in as Santa Claus. And I sang in both of the films. I did in the war movie. There was a young farm girl who was running because she had never seen all these people before with guns on her farm. And she came up to offer us some milk that she had just taken from the cow. And so I sang Amazing Grace to her, and she didn't know what to she was just startled. And this is part of the script, of course, but that's where Peter threw me in that part. And then Christmas, and then the Burning Hearts, I did a Christmas Carol song and White Christmas, and so yeah, they took to that well. It went well. So
I love that. I love that. Well, we're super excited to hear more from you about what you're learning in the Los Angeles Film School. And I know you're married to a very special woman, your wife, Cheryl. I just want to say hi, Cheryl. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for all of your help and in the background. And you're amazing. And I'm so sorry, we're going to have to start wrapping the show up. Danielle, it's gone so fast. But is there
yeah.
anything else? Is there anything else you want to talk about or
Well,
promote?
well, actually, you just keep on looking for me. I'm going to pop up where you least expect me, and you're going to get to see a film that I'm going to be working on with a mutual friend of ours in the very near future.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I always do this. I ask our guests their heart message for the world. Danielle, what is your heart message?
Love, love. If we would take as much time to love one another, we wouldn't see all the travesties going on in the world today. Love, that's my answer.
Beautiful. Thank you, Danielle. Well, I have so enjoyed talking to you, and I hope you'll come on my show again, and we'll get some more updates on your from your film school and all the fun things that you're doing, and any other performances that you are going to do from now, right?
Just ask, just say the word. Uh,
Okay.
hey, you know where to find me now.
Thank you so much. Yes, we're friends on Facebook, and
That's what's up.
you can be friends on Facebook with Danielle too. It's easy, just a few clicks away. And I will include that link as well so everyone can follow Danielle and be his friend. And until next time, Danielle, au revoir.
Bye.